Most people go through life thinking the world owes them something. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect opportunity, the perfect environment. But let me tell you this, life doesn't hand you anything. The reality you're living right now is nothing more than a reflection of the choices you've made, the discipline you've lacked, and the battles you've avoided. You want to change your reality? You want to live a life on your terms? Then you've got to master yourself first. Your mind, your habits, your emotions, they are either your greatest weapon or your worst enemy. The world isn't against you or against you. And until you conquer the war inside, you'll never control the battlefield outside. This isn't about motivation. This is about ownership. It's about looking in the mirror and admitting that the only thing standing between the life you have and the life you want is the person staring back at you. Your reality is a mirror of your discipline. Master yourself or be mastered by your excuses. People love to believe their life is shaped by luck, by other people, by circumstances they can't control. That's the first lie they tell themselves so they can sleep at night. The truth is much harsher. The truth is every single day, your reflection in the mirror is nothing more than the sum total of the standards you hold for yourself and the discipline you practice when no one is watching. If your life feels small, weak, or out of control, it's not because of fate, it's because you've let your excuses run the show. Every excuse you've ever made has carved out the limits of your reality. Excuses are seductive. They whisper to you that you've had a hard day, that you deserve to rest, that you'll try harder tomorrow. They convince you that other people have it easier, so why bother? They tell you stories about unfairness, about struggle, about how you're not built for greatness. And every time you give in to them, you're reinforcing chains that lock you into a life of mediocrity. Excuses are like termites. You don't notice the damage until your entire foundation is rotting. You wake up one day and realize years have passed, and you're living in a body you hate, working a job that drains you, surrounded by a reality you never chose. But the truth is you did choose it every time you chose the excuse over the discipline. Discipline is the opposite force. Discipline is brutal honesty. Discipline is doing what you said you were going to do, even when it feels like hell, even when no one is clapping for you. Discipline is waking up before the sun and putting in the work that no one will ever see. It's pushing your body past its limits when your mind screams at you to quit. It's reading when you'd rather scroll. It's grinding when you'd rather rest. It's saying no to distractions that feel good but steal your progress. Discipline doesn't care about your feelings. Discipline only cares about results. The reality you are living in right now is proof of how much discipline you've built. If you are strong, it's because you built that strength brick by brick. If you are weak, it's because you chose comfort over effort. If your mind is sharp, it's because you trained it in the fire of consistency. If your mind is cloudy, it's because you fed it garbage and never tested it. The mirror doesn't lie. Life doesn't lie. It simply reflects back the patterns you repeat every single day. Think about the people who have achieved the impossible. They weren't born extraordinary. They simply mastered themselves in ways most people refuse to. They silenced excuses. They leaned into discomfort. They disciplined their bodies and their minds to obey a higher standard. Their reality expanded because their discipline expanded. They created a life others can't imagine, not because they were lucky, but because they demanded it from themselves every single day without compromise. And here's the hardest truth most people will never accept. Discipline is freedom. The more you control yourself, the more control you have over your reality. When you master your impulses, your emotions, and your habits, you stop being a puppet pulled by external strings. You stop being the victim of your circumstances. You gain the ability to create, to build, to shape your world exactly as you want it. But when you avoid discipline, when you let excuses dictate your choices, you surrender all control. You hand over the keys of your life to laziness, fear, and doubt. And then you wonder why your reality feels like a cage. So the choice is always the same, every morning, every moment. Master yourself or be mastered by your excuses. Either you rise above comfort or comfort buries you. Either you discipline your body and mind or they betray you. Your reality is not some random accident. It's the reflection staring back at you, built from the choices you make when nobody is watching, shaped by the excuses you crush or the excuses you let when pain is the doorway. If you run from it, you stay a prisoner. If you face it, you unlock freedom. Most people build their entire lives around avoiding pain. They run from discomfort. They run from struggle. They run from anything that threatens to break the illusion of safety they've created for themselves. And that's exactly why they never grow, why they stay stuck in the same cycle year after year. They confuse comfort with happiness, but comfort is a trap. Comfort is the slow poison that eats away at your potential. Pain is the signal that you're on the edge of growth. Pain is the alarm clock of your soul telling you that you're about to step into the next level. But if you always run from it, you'll never find out who you really are. Every great transformation begins in pain. Every time you push past the point where your body screams to stop, you unlock another layer of strength. Every time you sit with emotional pain instead of numbing it, you build resilience. Pain strips you of your ego. It strips you of your excuses. It strips you of your illusions. Pain reveals the truth about you. That's why so many people avoid it. They don't want to know who they are without the masks. They don't want to see how weak they've become. So they run, and in running, they remain prisoners inside their own lives. When you face pain, when you embrace it head on, something powerful happens. You begin to realize pain is not your enemy. Pain is a teacher. It shows you where you're soft, where you're unprepared, where you've been lying to yourself. It forces you to level up. It forces you to adapt, to become harder, sharper, stronger. It burns away the part of you that's fake and leaves behind only what's real. And that's where freedom begins. Freedom doesn't come from an easy life. Freedom doesn't come from avoiding struggle. Freedom comes from knowing you can walk through fire and not be destroyed by it. Most people misunderstand freedom. They think freedom means no pain, no discipline, no sacrifice. They think freedom means doing whatever feels good in the moment. But that's slavery in disguise. That's how you get chained to addictions, chained to weakness, chained to regret. Real freedom comes from being able to endure the pain that others can't. Real freedom comes from doing what needs to be done, no matter how much it hurts. When you master that, when you stop running from pain, you stop being a prisoner of your circumstances. You become untouchable. Pain is the price of admission for greatness. You don't get strength without tearing muscle fibers. You don't get wisdom without failing and suffering. You don't get courage without facing fear and pushing through it anyway. Every achievement that matters is built on a foundation of pain. The stronger the foundation, the bigger the structure you can build. That's why people who are willing to endure more pain are the ones who achieve what others call impossible. They've walked through doors most people never even knock on, because they were willing to suffer for something bigger than comfort. You've got to rewire how you see pain. Stop asking why me and start asking, what is this teaching me? Stop saying this hurts too much and start saying this is shaping me. Every time you lean into the pain instead of running from it, you're training your mind to stop seeing it as punishment and start seeing it as a path. That's where the shift happens. When you stop fearing pain, you stop being controlled by it. Pain loses its power to trap you. Instead, it becomes the key that unlocks the next level of your life. The people who stay prisoners are the ones who keep running. They run into comfort food, they run into distractions, they run into excuses, they run into addictions. They try to silence pain instead of confronting it. And because of that, they never break free. The chains only get tighter. But the people who face pain head on, who sit with it, who fight through it, they discover freedom on the other side. They realize pain was never the enemy. Pain was the doorway, the test, the initiation into their true self. Your mind is the battlefield. Win there first, and the outside world has no choice but to follow. Everything you face out there, every challenge, every obstacle, every situation, is nothing compared to the war that's happening inside your head. The outside world only reflects the battles you've already won or lost in your mind. If your thoughts are weak, your actions will be weak. If your mind folds under pressure, your body will follow. If your belief system is fragile, life will shatter it over and over again. That's why most people never rise. They think success is about external tools, external opportunities, external advantages, but none of that matters if your mind is broken. The battlefield is not out there. The battlefield is in here. And until you conquer it, you'll always be at the mercy of life. The mind is ruthless. It feeds on your fears. It amplifies your doubts. It magnifies every weakness you have. When the body starts hurting, the mind tells you to quit. When life gets tough, the mind convinces you to escape. When you try to step into something greater, the mind drags out every memory of failure, every insecurity, every reason you don't deserve it. That's the war. And most people lose it before they even step onto the field. They lose it when they hit snooze, when they procrastinate, when they choose comfort over effort. The battle is lost long before anyone else sees it. By the time the world gets a look, the outcome has already been decided in the silence of your own mind. To win the battlefield of the mind, you've got to stop being soft with yourself. You've got to stop believing the lies your mind feeds you. The mind is always looking for the easy way, the safe way, the comfortable way, because it's wired for survival, not greatness. Survival says avoid risk, avoid pain, avoid struggle. But greatness requires the opposite. You have to train your mind to stop listening to its own weakness. You have to discipline it the same way you discipline your body. Repetition, pressure, exposure. You put yourself in situations where your mind wants to break, and you stay there until it bends to your will. You polish your mind the way you polish your hands. You break the old patterns by confronting them again and again until your thoughts obey you instead of betray you. The reason some people dominate in life is not because they're smarter or more talented. It's because they've built a fortress in their mind that nothing can penetrate. When life hits them, they don't crumble. When pain hits them, they don't stop. When fear whispers, they don't listen. They've already fought that war in the dark, in silence, in the hours when no one was watching. They've already conditioned their mind to see adversity as opportunity, to see struggle as fuel, to see doubt as an enemy that must be crushed. By the time they step into the real world, they've already won, because the hardest part was mastered before anyone even noticed. And here's the reality. Your external life will always rise or fall to the level of your mental game. You can't outwork a weak mind. You can't build a strong reality on a foundation of fragile thoughts. If you want strength, it has to be forged inside first. If you want freedom, it has to be claimed in your own head before you ever taste it out there. That's why mastering the mind is non-negotiable. It's not something you dabble in. It's not something you try when it's convenient. It's war, and war requires total commitment. Every day, you're either fortifying your mental walls or you're letting them crumble. Every day, you're either winning the battle or you're being conquered. This is why visualization, self-talk, discipline, and exposure to hardship matter. They're not buzzwords. They're weapons. They're how you arm yourself for the battlefield. When you visualize, you rehearse victory until it feels inevitable. When you control your self-talk, you silence the enemy inside your head and replace it with commands that move you forward. When you live with discipline, you weaken the grip of comfort and build mental toughness. When you expose yourself to hardship, you teach your mind that fear and pain don't control you. These tools are how you fight back against the natural weakness of the mind. These tools are how you win before you even step onto the external stage. If your mind is defeated, nothing else matters. You can train your body, build your skills, chase your goals, but you'll collapse the moment adversity shows up. But if your mind is undefeated, If you've put in the work to master it, there's nothing the outside world can throw at you that you won't crush. Your reality becomes a reflection of that mental victory. Your actions, your results, your life, they all fall in line with the battles you've already won inside. The outside world simply follows the orders of a mastered mind. Ownership is power. Stop blaming, stop waiting, start creating your reality right now. The moment you point your finger at someone else, the moment you say it's because of them, because of life, because of bad luck, you hand over the keys to your own life. You make yourself powerless. You become a passenger in your own story, waiting for someone else to change the course. And that's why most people stay stuck. They don't want the responsibility that comes with ownership. They want the illusion of control without the weight of accountability. But here's the truth. The second you stop blaming and start owning everything, your choices, your failures, your habits, you unlock a level of power most people will never touch. Blame feels good in the short term. It lets you avoid guilt. It lets you dodge responsibility. It gives you an excuse to stay the same. You can point at your upbringing, your environment, your boss, your friends, your circumstances. You can build an entire story around why you can't, why you haven't, why it's unfair. But that story is a cage. That story keeps you weak. Every time you tell it, you reinforce the idea that you're not in control. And when you believe that you're done, you'll never push harder. You'll never demand more from yourself. You'll never rise above average. You'll stay trapped in the comfort of excuses while your potential rots. Ownership is different. Ownership says, it doesn't matter who hurt me. It doesn't matter what I didn't get. It doesn't matter how unfair life is. Ownership says, if my life is broken, it's on me to fix it. If I'm weak, it's on me to get stronger. If I'm behind, it's on me to catch up. Ownership is ruthless. It doesn't let you hide. It doesn't let you point fingers. It forces you to face yourself and admit that every outcome you have is tied to your choices. And that's why ownership is power, because once you accept that you can change everything, you stop waiting, you stop hoping, you stop giving your energy to things you can't control, and you start pouring it into what you can. The people who rise in life aren't the ones who had the best circumstances. They're the ones who decided to own their reality no matter what. They didn't sit around blaming the world for being unfair. They didn't wait for someone to rescue them. They said, this is on me and I will not stop until I build the life I want. That level of ownership is rare, and that's why it's powerful. It makes you unstoppable. Because when you take responsibility for everything, there's nothing left to complain about, nothing left to fear. You've already accepted that it's your fight, your mission, your reality. To shape waiting is another trap. People wait for motivation. They wait for the perfect time. They wait for someone to believe in them. Waiting kills more dreams than failure ever will. The perfect time will never come. The motivation will never last. The people you want validation from may never give it. So what? Stop waiting. Start creating. Every moment you hesitate, every moment you stall, you're digging the hole deeper. Ownership doesn't wait. Ownership acts. Ownership says, even if I don't feel ready, I'm moving. Even if the odds are against me, I'm trying. Even if no one believes in me, I'll build the belief myself. That's what separates the ones who create their reality from the ones who live as prisoners inside it. Ownership is freedom. It might not feel like it at first because it forces you to carry the weight of everything in your life. But when you carry that weight, you also carry the power to change it. When you stop blaming, you stop being a victim. When you stop waiting, you stop wasting time. And when you start creating, you start shaping your reality with intention. That's when life bends to you. That's when opportunities show up. That's when you start seeing proof of your power everywhere you look. It doesn't happen because the world changed. It happens because you changed. Because you took ownership and refused to let go. Every time you look in the mirror, you're looking at the person responsible for everything in your life. That's not a reason to feel shame. That's the reason to feel unstoppable. Because if it's you, then you can fix it. If it's you, then you can build it. If it's you, then you have all the control you need. Ownership means you no longer outsource your future to anyone else. Ownership means you hold the pen to your own story. Ownership means you accept that the world owes you nothing and you owe yourself everything. That mindset makes you dangerous because nothing can stop a person who has taken full control of themselves and their reality.